Thank you. Very happy to be part of this session. So this research is part of a project that we've been running for quite some time. It's with some colleagues from Stockholm School of Economics, where I am, Micael, Dahlen and Jonas Colliander. And then we have our Norwegian friend Helge Torbjörnsson, who is in Bergen at the Norwegian School of Economics. And Alice Genvik and Christian Torvid are actually two former master students at our school who joined in on this project because they were also interested in passion and they wanted to explore it further. So what I'm going to share with you today is research where we've looked at how you, or what kind of effects you can expect from communicating passion in advertising. So we can move on to the next slide, please. So basically, it's a very straightforward setup of this research. We wanted to explore what messages like "we love what we do" have, or how they impact consumers' perceptions of products and brands. And basically, the background for this is that we see a lot of examples out there of brands who are communicating how much they love what they do. We also see a lot of examples from the more entrepreneurial literature, where you have entrepreneurs who are very passionate about their activities, and we've seen a lot of research looking at the role of passion for performance in entrepreneurship, in leadership, in service, but we couldn't really find similar research in terms of passion in advertising. So we were a bit surprised by that, and we wanted to explore it further. So I give you a few examples if we move on to the next slide, how these kind of advertisements can look. And here we have examples ranging from hotels to mineral water to coffee. I also have a German colleague who actually got in touch with me after this paper was published, and she said, we have a lot of German brands who are communicating passion. So if we move on to the next slide, I actually have some examples where German brands are saying that they are passionate about journalism, so die Presse, or about insurance, such as the case with this Versicherungskammer Bayern, and also beer, obviously. You have to be passionate about beer if you're German, for sure. So what we wanted to explore in this paper is what can be the effects of communicating this passion, or Leidenschaft, as they call it in Germany. And looking at theoretical perspectives, we explored two different types of effects that we thought might occur. So the first one we looked at is signaling. So the way you communicate, not just what you say, but also how you say it, has been found to have a strong impact on consumer perceptions of the brand and its products. Signaling effects are basically how your advertising conveys something about the way you go about doing things in general, not just your advertising. So in previous research, we have examples of how investing in advertising can be seen as a sign of confidence. So higher advertising spend signals to consumers that you believe in your brand and that you will continue to have a successful position in the market. And Micael and I and several of our colleagues at the Stockholm School of Economics have also been looking at how advertising creativity, so the way that you communicate, just as we heard in the previous presentation, can also send signals about the brand and the type of effort that you put into your products in general, not just in your advertising. So our first idea was that if we know that consumers can interpret media spend or advertising spend and creativity as signs of a brand putting a lot of effort into all their types of activities, probably communicating that they're passionate about their products should have a similar effect. The second account we draw from this literature from the management research area, where they've been looking at how passion is contagious. So basically they use emotional contagion theory to say that when we see somebody who is passionate, that tends to rub off on others. So in the management literature, you can see examples of how entrepreneurial leaders with a passion also gets their co-workers to be passionate and helps benefit the brand in different ways. So we were thinking by a similar logic, some kind of brand commitment or brand passion would also spill over to the consumers to see that advertising. And as they become more happy, they will also evaluate the brand more or better. So basically we were proposing two different types of mechanisms for why just communicating that we are passionate about our beer or about our journalism or about our insurance might lead to positive effects. To test this, we ran a series of experimental studies. We've actually run a few more than the ones who are currently in the paper, but in this article, we have focused on coffee. I don't know if you know this, but the Swedes, we are among the greatest coffee drinkers in the world, next just to Finland. So this is a very relevant product category for the Swedish consumers who actually took part of this study. And it was an experimental study where we decided to keep everything as constant as possibly. So it's an unknown coffee brand, and we had two versions of basically the same print ad. We have one that is taste our love for coffee, and one that is just taste our ground coffee. And this experiment was run through a market research firm here in Sweden. And the participants were randomly assigned to each of these ads and then asked to report their perceptions, emotions, and also evaluations of each brand. And as you can see here in the table, or maybe I should mention before that, we also had a manipulation check, of course. So consumers who saw the passion ad, the one with the heart here, they actually perceived this one. Oh, go back, please. I'm not done. They've actually perceived it to be more passionate, and they also perceived the brand to have put more effort into the ad on the left. They perceived product quality to be higher for the ad on the left. We also saw that there were more positive emotions, but there was not a significant difference here in this study, but there was a significant difference in terms of attitudes and intentions. So to replicate this and to check whether, the heart, there was a lot of things going on, even though they were very simplistic. So we also reran the experiment with the Swedish copy, where we have, we love what we do, and then a new copy and the same price for both of them. And as you can see here, we again had the similar effects, and here we also have a positive effect on emotions. So basically, it seems that when we communicate that we are passionate, that we love what we're doing, that rubs off on consumers in terms of they think that we are a more effortful company that will have higher quality product. And it also makes them more positive, which helps with positive evaluations. Of course, coffee is just one product category, and we decided to also replicate this in a third study where we looked at two other types of product categories. So here we have a more utilitarian, soap, and a more hedonic product category, soft drinks. And you can see it was a very similar setup where we had either we're passionate or it's just good. It's just a good soap, it's just a good soda. And again, we find that the results are replicated. There is a main effect of communicating passion. There is no difference between the two product categories, and there's also no interaction effect. So this communicating passion seems to be holding up regardless of the type of product category. If we look at the implications here, you can see that there are positive effects of just saying that you're passionate. I'm not really done with that slide. And when we communicate that we love what we do, it helps with the perception of the product quality, which is one of those signaling effects that we've been really interested in the past. So it's just that leads to perceptions of higher product quality in and of itself. But we also see that the positive effects that are the more emotional contagion also play in. So now we can move on to the next slide. Of course, in this case, we only looked at low involvement products, the type of products that are typically seen in most advertising, but we figure that for other cars with more involvement, such as car or designer clothes, we could imagine that this effect should be stronger, so that the fact that we find it for coffee and soap seems to indicate that there is an effect that is out there. So we use a very careful test by looking at these categories. We also figured when we ran a lot of pre-tests, and we noticed that there are a lot of things going on. So when you say that you love something or that you're passionate about something, there are other components than commitment and effort that also plays in. So potentially we need to look more in depth into what is actually driving these effects in addition to emotional contagion and signaling effort. I guess that's it. Thank you.